Welcome to The American Spectacle, a podcast dedicated to the art of American dance, exploring the past, present, and future of dance, and discussing ways to re-engage communities, young people, in the most American of all arts, dance.
Before we begin, what if one drink could carry the weight of a lifetime? The Dressing Drink, a memoir by Thomas King Flagg, peels back the layers of an orphan's legacy, blending beauty, heartbreak, and hard truths into one unforgettable story. The Dressing Drink, available now wherever books are sold.
Hi, hello. I'm Thomas Flagg, the host of American Spectacle. I'm a longtime supporter and arts advocate of the art of dance. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing to you one of the most accomplished human beings in the performing arts I've ever known. Today, we have Jamal Story. Jamal?
Thank you. Happy to be here.
I'm so happy you're here. So Jamal appeared, of course, through the hurricane. So it's not everyone that comes from New York to Florida for this, and we're so happy. I just had to go back to how did I meet Jamal? And I remember I was working on my project, Positive Energy Arts, in York, Pennsylvania, which helps untold amount of young school children have dance. It seems that dance and sports and arts have all been taken from that school system. And I saw work that Jamal was putting together at Alvin Ailey in New York City. And I think I saw it on Facebook and I said, my God, this man is amazing. Wow, I wonder if he would ever consider coming to York, Pennsylvania. And I messaged him, I got his phone number, and we started talking. And I said, well, Jamal, you probably know bing, 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 bing. And he went, sure. And that was the deal. All of a sudden, we knew we were in the same orbit, the same everything. And I said, would you ever consider coming to York? And he goes, well, let's see, I'm doing Cher's show in Virginia. I could rent a car. I could come up to... I've never heard such generosity. So in fact, Jamal rented a car, drove to this little town called York, Pennsylvania, and did an amazing, amazing Lec Dem show. You did everything but the kitchen sink.
It's right there.
You got the kids dancing. Dance for us, Jamal, and you dance for them. Tell us your story. You told your story. It was every part. I've never seen a more cohesive, wonderful experience. And then we worked on from there and tried to do other things. But welcome.
Thank you.
I had to give the backstory.
No, that was great. That was a great rundown for me too. And I remember the thing that was so great about that is it's exactly right. All of those things happen. We got to give the community sort of a crash course in different aspects of what a dance presentation and what outreach and what engagement and what education could look like in one, 3-hour period, which was, that was kind of epic.
It was epic.
Yeah.
Especially your one leg flip.
Especially the leg, especially flipping off one leg and landing on the other. That might have been, the kid. If there was anything that got the kids, that got the kids.
He's real.
Yeah.
He's real.
Okay, well, listen to what you have to say, sir. It was great. It was great to have them to have them with me.
Well, I think that what's important is that you're an incredibly accomplished. I really don't know if I know anyone who's as accomplished in as many aspects of dance as you are, and still going at it strong. An educator, a performer, a choreographer, name 5 more.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, film, television, stage, concert dance, all of that. Mm-hmm. And you help kids.
Yes.
And you help kids.
Yes.
And you don't have to, but you do it. I will say it's just God working through us.
It is divine. It is divine. And even your getting in touch with me to do something in advocacy, your being in advocacy was divine, because at the time I was learning about myself that is the reason that I need to stay in the arts, because there aren't a lot of us. Dance is can be a long career, but oftentimes it's not. And so you find that people matriculate out of it earlier in life than in other careers. And when they do that, they take with them all of the intel and all of the information and all of the jewels and all of the value for subsequent generations. And necessarily, it's certainly not that they're not generous, amazing people, but of course, dance is hard, and the career is hard, and all of those things are difficult in professional spaces to maintain. So those of us who are left, those few of us who are still doing it professionally, can give back inside of the work and advocate outside of it as well. And so that's basically what I've been trying to do. And at that particular time, when Positive Energy Arts when you engaged me, at that time, I was learning that that's part of the responsibility, or that's part of the calling, is that if I'm going to continue to be out and audition and do jobs and on sets or on Broadway or wherever, the idea is that there's a responsibility to pay some of that forward. As much as you can. And so that, of course, turned into, a seat on the Dancers Resource Advisory Committee for now the Entertainment Community Fund, formerly the Actors Fund, and a co-chair seat on the National Dancers Committee for SAG-AFTRA, and then a few negotiating committees as well. So all of that stuff reinforced the idea that no, you, Jamal, are in a position to affect big change.
Inspire.
Yes.
Inspire.
Yeah. And that's
so
what I was
speaking
trying to
of
do.
inspiration, give us a little of your backstory.
Well,
just the highlights, because we could be here for 4 hours.
Oh, right. Yeah. It's long, lengthy resume, kind of. So yeah, the basic punchline, if you will, or the thesis statement, or whatever, the log line for my journey is that dance chose me. Dance chose me. I was an aspiring astronomer who went to the California Academy of Mathematics and Science for high school, and then discovered dance in that high school because it was located on a college campus, still is. And as a result, we had access to, fine arts as part of our PE. And so I took dance, and they said, "Oh, you'd be great at this." And I said, "Oh, yeah. I've been a very physical person with gymnastics for years and years and years." So the discipline was in the body, and the dance teachers recognized that and said, if we could just get him to sort of redirect all that discipline into this fine art, then, we have a winner. I still didn't see it. So I graduated and then got to Southern Methodist University, and then seriously trained in dance in a BFA program, but also got a degree in TV radio communications with an emphasis in journalism, just in case it didn't work out. It's always important to have a career option that is also struggle heavy, just in case your first struggle heavy career doesn't work out. Right. So I got these 2 degrees and still wasn't quite sure that I could have a career in dance. The pragmatist in me said no. But again, back to the spirit of the divine, everything that I was doing inside of dance training and education and working in different spaces was working out. So I just kind of held firm, and then things just worked the way that they needed to for me to have a very, very prosperous career. And I dare say the jumping around the dance landscape, in concert dance, which was my heart. I love concert dance. I love process.
Why?
I love it because I love concert dance. I love concert dance because it is the one place where people are going to see dancers, not dancers working for Madonna. I did that. Not dancers on stage in the color purple supporting the telling of this story.
I did that.
Mm-hmm. Not dance in a music video to support the format that is music video for the artist, not that. No, and I've done that. No, this time this is dance that you are coming to see dancers do, and that is the commodity. That is the value. That is the gift.
The commodity of beauty.
The commodity and the commodity of beauty of art,
Right.
And the fact that people want to see it at all. Even though companies are struggling, even though companies are losing money, even though they're folding left and right, the fact that there are still people who want to see it.
Have to do it. They have to go see it.
They have to see it. We're not going to do okay without it completely.
Right.
That is the part that speaks to the value of dance. And of course, So You Think You Can Dance and Dancing with the Stars, and these shows that have commercialized it in a way. There are all kinds of levels of discussion to have about those opportunities and shows. But the big takeaway is that no matter what, people want to see it. Those shows are featuring dance.
Absolutely.
That's what they're about, dance. They are shows that are about dance. They're about competition too, and we love competition in America.
If I may say, the one thing I've learned, my brother was a pretty famous recording artist, and he got up and he did a show, and I said, gee, that was great. He goes, and he pointed to the board.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, well, yeah, but he said, it was the engineer, it was the board. So music, theater, film, television has all been manipulated, technically, to a degree that we don't even know about, we don't even see, but it would be a whole nother animal if it was sitting there by itself. Dance is naked. Dance is the truth.
Yes.
This is who we are.
Mm-hmm.
This is who we are.
And I tell people it's so interesting that that in a lot of places, certainly here in America, the majority of people are not in touch with our bodies. Mm-hmm. We're just not. And yet we move every day. We move all the time.
We have to.
We have to. That's the whole thing. We can't live without moving. And so when you look at dance as just an extension of movement, an extension of the human condition, as it were, and that the things that motivate us to move the way that we're moving are the human parts, then what you realize is that dance is actually one of the most human forms of expression we have. And arguably, we're doing it all the time. We just haven't, choreographed it and put music to it and put you on stage and thrown lights on you, but you are moving. And so part of it is getting it. If we could get everyone to a space where there was a little bit more comfort and familiarity with the bodies, their own bodies, then there would be even more connection to the bodies that they see in front of them.
The God within. The God within.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So here we are in Melbourne, Florida, hoping to make Melbourne into Dance City. What do you think about that? Educating audiences, inspiring people. This is a lot of what we're doing.
I love the idea. I love the idea that a small town or a small place, a small location in terms of population and profile has the opportunity to galvanize in any direction for anything because of the smallness, because of the tightness of it. Yes. And what I really, really love is the idea that there are, SMU, Southern Methodist University, I'm an alum, and they have a data team that put out a list of places that were artist friendly and artistically rich as far as cities in America. And they broke it up in demographics. And the small cities, the smallest ones with populations, of under 1 million, those cities, I looked at a lot of them. And what I found is that they are the perfect places to harvest art because there's no noise. All of the extra things that are around big cities are not existent. Now, granted, I'm from Los Angeles and I live in New York, and those are huge city centers for art. But when I traveled around the country and did small markets with Share, I got to see how important art is to those communities because it's the outreach. If we're not close to Chicago or we're not close to New York or we're not close to Los Angeles, we now have an opportunity to build. And then I've watched I've watched art change the economies of some of these places. I mean, Montgomery, Alabama isn't as small a city as the ones that I just described. But when I was there and I went to the Civil Rights Museum, which has all kinds of art in it to tell that story, to tell the story of Blacks in America and Blacks coming into America. When I went and then did the research and realized, oh, wow, they've sold 107,000 more hotel rooms since this hotel in the next year.
Economic driver.
There were I want to say $1 million or so in revenue over a period of time from people coming to the museum.
Right.
This is not rocket science. This is not new information. But the idea is that the place now becomes a hub, and now artists are coming, because now there are artistic opportunities.
Like-minded.
The diversity, the way that the influx of artists in any community can change the demographic, can shift it dramatically. And I don't mean just racially and ethnically. I mean in terms of
spiritually, actually.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because people are bringing with them all of those things, all of those aspects of who they are, all of the aspects of the human condition as they pertain to them. They're bringing all of that with them to these centers, these small centers that can become gigantic locations for people to see and visit.
Well, if the economic driver, certainly here there's tourism, certainly here there's significant industry. And even though it was a more mature population, this influx of family that's come in, Bob and Ted and Carol and their little kids, dogs and cats, this is what's growing now. And so there's a need.
Yeah.
There's an evident need.
There is.
So
there
that's
is.
great.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love the idea too that when I looked at that list, I saw Colorado, I saw Wyoming, I saw Idaho. I saw maybe one city in the Southeast.
Right. Well, the other thing about Florida is that it being the third largest state, there's also so much value and so many artistic resources. Miami, Orlando, West Palm, Sarasota, go across. And so if we're able to be a magnet and to bring all these great talents together, especially in the dance world. What about a stepping competition? What about a shag competition? What about things that we need to see? Again, just can we see the movement? Can we see salsa?
Yes.
Can we be part of that?
Yes.
And then we can start to grow. And I think that's a big part of this economic driver. So it's all important. But
and then also too, it's a great time. It's a great time.
After COVID.
Yes, we're after COVID, and we're now also experiencing, we've had time to sit and think about what some of these things mean. What is it? What is dance performance? What does the proscenium mean? What is a dance company now? How does that need to run? Are there different things that we should be doing to reflect where we are in 2024?
Yeah.
Are there things that we need to fold into the making of dance presentation? And what are those things and how can they happen? And can we workshop them? Can we explore them? Do we have the talent to figure out what that is so that it's sustainable? Those models for how we grant dance and how we present dance are changing. And so what happens is right now in a city like this one, in a town like this one, in a space like this one, we have an opportunity to start answering some of those questions and taking a look. I mean, of course, I have answers, and I'm sure most of the people that have answers in terms because they've been working in it for so long. You have a long dossier of people that you know, and I know some of those people on that dossier, and they all understand ways that dance was, and ways that dance is, and potentially ways that dance will be. And not just dance, but all of it, the performing arts particularly. How are we going to present all of these things that we've been presenting? How are people going to want to see them? How does the digital space reconfigure all of those things? And these are questions that everybody is thinking about.
They have to ask.
Answering even.
They have to ask.
They have to, because then what does the funding look like? So I mean, there's there there's all this money to devote a portion of to building something that could be not only sustainable, but a model one. Not that there needs to be only one, but a model for how to move forward in the arts, plural arts. And if you're doing it with one thing, if you do it with dance, if you succeed there, then why not move on to visual art and then sculpture and then music? And then, because then you find that whatever paradigm we put into place to answer some of those questions, we can now apply that paradigm to the other art forms.
Replicate.
Absolutely. Why not?
It's great.
Why not?
Well, I think hopefully we've figured out a couple of paths towards that success, but I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed spending time with you again, and we've got to try to find a path to a channel to help people to understand. I just came back from Ireland, how important it is that culturally it is normal for music, for dance, for any of the arts, performing arts, to be, it's inspiration. It's real inspiration, changes the way our minds work, changes so many, but kids, terrible things are happening to children now, terrible things. And that these kids don't have the opportunity. I was lucky. I was orphaned when I was a young man, but I always had music. I was taking social dance classes at seven, and my father was an eccentric dancer on Broadway. So those worlds always were around to some extent. But I think they are slowly being eradicated. And I think we really need to stand up and say, this is what God has given us. This is the joy of living, the commodity of beauty and expression that we would otherwise not have.
And I think the commodity. I love that we view that has come up, and I think we should just both take credit for the commodity of beauty. I don't really know where
it's
they go.
important. We laugh, but it's true.
But it's true. The thing is, the commodity of beauty can also translate into the commodity of affluence or financial success or economic growth. It actually will do that, in part because training and harnessing and cultivating and organizing that beauty through education, arts education, what that does is it gives people, regardless of whether or not these students that we're educating are going to go into art, it gives them another entire palette, another place to use the brain, another starting point, another entry point for any conversation or any thought process about anything. So when you take a student who has had all of this experience, who has had to deal with the discipline of whatever art form, dance has a whole lot of it, and has had to organize all of that, the physical, the mental, the French, the language, whatever it is, the vocabulary inside of dance. When you have a student who's had to do that, well, now you've trained the brain. You've trained the brain and body in a way that nothing else will. And so you take all of that, you take that person, that individual who has now been cultivated with all of this information on how to think and different ways of thinking and different ways of conceptualizing, and then you put them in a corporate context, or her or them in a corporate context. Well, now what you have is a fully artistically developed human being who can apply something outside of the box to the one that you have been in forever. The matrix that is inside of whatever this corporate space happens to be can be disrupted. And that's what you need, is the disruption. That is what people in corporate America at the top are looking for. Where are the innovators? Where are the people who are going to reconfigure the space of this corporate entity and take us to the next level? Because we've been at this level forever. It's been working, sure, but we can't necessarily be competitive with the rest of the world because we aren't necessarily basing art in our education enough, and certainly in the public school system, but we're not basing art in the education enough so that we can reconfigure the minds early enough to think outside of the box later when it really, really, really matters.
Well, they certainly do in Europe. That's what I just came
Yeah.
back from. But more importantly, let's not forget, we're on the Space Coast.
Yes.
So what do we need? We need Dance of the Planets. We need Galaxy Dance.
Yes.
We need Mr. Musk to get up there and
Yeah.
on Mars.
Yeah.
On Mars.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
No, well, we need the piece that shows the kids how this is all working up in space.
Yeah.
We can do that. What are we other than moving bodies in space?
We are.
So that's what we are. We are moving bodies in space, dancers. So yeah, let's tell that story. The other thing is, we can use dance to tell a story. That's the thing. We can use dance to tell the story. And dance is the universal language that we can that will be understood everywhere.
Right.
Regardless.
Everything from praising God to putting the shovel in the earth to this is our oldest form of expression.
Yes.
Music probably came secondary. Was it music? Was it dance? Always a big question.
Always a big question. Yeah, it is.
But I think that's it.
It is.
I think we've answered every other question.
Have we?
God bless you, and thank you so much for coming down. Hurricane Central.
Yes.
You're willing to brave anything.
I am willing to do it. I'm happy to be here. So happy I was able to come through, and glad to be here with the Hurricane and with you.
And to try to build this up. Here we go.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, Jamal.
Thank you. Thank you.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please join us for upcoming podcasts, where we'll speak to some of the most consequential voices in the dance world. For more information, you can go to my website, thomaskflagg.com. In addition, you can find me on all social media platforms. If you want to learn more about me and my unique journey, please check out my book, The Dressing Drink. It chronicles my early life and efforts to better understand my parents, both entertainers in their own right. I'm Thomas Flagg, and thank you for joining us today.